Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 108. I am your host Klaus Nightbringer, and joining me today is our resident librarian, Seyrr Timono. Hey buddy, how's it going?
Woo, not bad. Also 108, that's like a number with a lot of significance, isn't it? In a lot of different thingies.
Sure?
Did you not play Suikoden?
Nope.
Oh, well, you should do that.
Well, I know we had to catch 108 Pokemon in the Halloween quest this year in Pokemon Go.
There we go. Like, that's another thing. Like, 108 is a number with a lot of significance in a lot of Asian religions.
Apparently it's very spoopy, too.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Talaz is not joining us this week because he is currently out at KupoCon, so that lucky bastard is having fun out there. He better report on it when he comes back in 3 weeks. Just so everybody is aware, our next episode will be on December 7th. We're taking a little bit of extra time off around the Thanksgiving holiday, and then we will have our next episode after that on the 21st. Then take another 3-week break through Christmas and New Year's, and we will return in 2020 on January 11th. So make sure to keep those dates in mind. So, because we're kind of changing our schedule just slightly for the holiday season.
No one interferes with my Thanksgiving. It is the most food holiday.
Well, I mean, it's a fun holiday. I mean, you get to spend time with family, friends.
It's the most food holiday. That's the important bit.
Is it the most food holiday?
It's the one that is all about having a celebratory feast. Like, that is the entire focus of it.
That's true. Well, that and then the obligatory evil shopping day right after.
Oh, yeah, no, I completely dip out of that.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah. So what have you been up to since the last episode?
A fair bit of crafting. Not 80 on everything yet, but I'm at the mid 70s to 80s on everything. Leveling some jobs. Just kind of exploring around, going at a gentle pace on things, taking it easy. Watching the Ishgardian Restoration go along, which I know we'll be talking about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing strenuous, kind of just like taking it easy and enjoying myself.
Well, that's always a good thing. You know, you don't want to necessarily rush into new content.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have been, but it is what it is.
People did hit Ishgard Restoration pretty hard, which I feel like at least some of what happened might have been foreseeable, and at least they implemented a fix pretty quickly, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah.
But I know people were suggesting some pretty extreme solutions, like old visits entirely.
Oh, I'm glad they didn't turn that off. Just closing off. We'll talk about that in a second, I suppose. We don't want to spoil it. We're spoiling enough things today, so we don't want to spoil everything right away, do we?
I don't actually have an argument. I just wanted to be all about things.
All right. As far as
why you tolerate me.
Well, tolerate is a strong word.
I was trying to choose the most ambivalent word I could, and it still wasn't enough.
As far as what I've been up to, I've been working on crafters as well. I've gotten 3 of them up to level 80. I have been still working on leveling my white mage now, level 78, I believe.
Ooh.
So, making good progress. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's my 6th level 80 war job. It's pretty good, I think.
You're on your way to your Amaro.
Which Pixie already has. I don't know if you guys follow her out on Twitter. But she's gotten all of her classes up to 80, so she's got her Amaro mount. I probably will never get it because I hate Thaumaturge and Pugilist.
Aww.
I mean, those are, I think, the only 2 jobs that I don't have jobstones for.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay, you are committed to your loading of them.
Aside from that, we've been working on the, like Seyrr said, we've been rebuilding Ishgard. I did finally actually get to join in one of the concerted works.
Concerted works, yes.
Yes. I missed out on the previous ones due to poor timing and then overpopulation on other servers, but that's no longer an issue. So
it's also something that they go like they'll have hours upon hours of preparation, but then the actual thing is usually done within 5 minutes.
Which is kind of insane.
Even now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the sheer power of adventurers all concentrated into a single space with a single goal. Like, this is the type of thing that governments suppress because of their fear of how powerful it is.
We are very powerful.
Once you can get us all pointed in the same direction.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's talk about some game and community news. First and foremost, it was announced earlier this week that a number of Final Fantasy games will be coming to the Xbox Game Pass. According to reports that I found on The Verge, yes, I know The Verge, but still, this was legit. A number of games are going to be coming right away to their Game Pass. A number more are going to be coming next year. And according to Microsoft's gaming chief, Phil Spencer, they say there are plans for the company to bring Final Fantasy XIV to the service at a later date. It's quoted as saying, "I want you to know, rest assured, that we will be bringing that game to Xbox," said Spencer. "We have a great relationship with Yoshida-san, and we're working through what it means to bring a cross-platform MMO that they've run for years." Thoughts on that?
I mean, good for them, I guess. I get that there's this rivalry, but I don't know why.
It's just because, it's the Coke Pepsi thing. Ford Chevy, PlayStation, Xbox.
Kids who didn't have to suffer through the console wars. We lost a lot of good people in those wars. Wait, what am I talking about?
Back in my day, we played Nintendo and liked it. We blew on our cartridges.
But I still remember the ads, and I kind of hate that I do.
What, Sega does what Nintendo don't?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I remember. It was a catchy line.
Mm-hmm. I never had a Sega.
I mean, neither did I, but I remember the line.
And of course, Ian has to start off with the OK Boomers and gets Nick Nar to join in.
Oh my god, I will set all of you on fire.
OK Boomer. He's mad because I actually pulled that on him earlier this week.
Oh my god.
And the funniest bit is I'm older than him.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say that when you're older than me. That doesn't even make sense.
OK Boomer. All right. Some Final Fantasy XIV news. This was just announced earlier today. I believe it happened early this morning, but the Epic of Alexander has been cleared. Congratulations to Team Thoughts Per Second from the Radiance Free Company out on Gilgamesh for being the first team to clear the Epic of Alexander.
Good job, everyone.
So, an NA team... Go ahead, sorry.
I hadn't been following it too much. Were there any fun things like we'd had with previous Ultimates?
One of the things that I had read is that it is one of the most... They say it's probably the most difficult one of the three. I haven't been keeping up with it either. And I know Chili said that, I think I had said that if Chili jumps into it, I will, but he does it when I'm at work. So there's not much I can do then.
Yeah. The clear time was something around 4.5 days. I try and remember, but I feel like that's the other ones.
I think it's right in line with the others as well. So
okay.
It's kind of what they expect. I know it used to be that was about the time when they would get like the full clear of the Savage tier back in like 2.x and 3.x.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's cleared in a day. But that's just how they're tuning it that way.
The Savage stuff is no longer the end game.
Yeah, glamour is the true end game.
It always has been, and may it always be thus.
Praise Lava Scorpion. They've also announced winners of the Furnishing Design Contest for 2019. And they
got some really cute ones in there this year.
We'll post that out on the Twitch chat as well as our show notes for those of you listening out on the podcast. Don't worry, we haven't forgot about you either. They posted a cute note from the Guild Masters of the 3 city-states. Adventurers of the Realm. Our appeal to artisans of all disciplines to share with us their visions has led to the submission of an astonishing number of wondrous designs. We, the Guildmasters of Eorzea, were so inundated that selecting winners from such a wealth of inspired creations was nigh impossible. Yet select we did. So thanks to our honorable participants, homeowners the realm over will soon have the opportunity to decorate their abodes with an exquisite selection of innovative furnishings. Pray accept our eternal gratitude for further raising the standard of aesthetic excellence. God damn it, that's a tongue twister.
Heard some people being very excited about the addition of an honest to God's toilet. I know this is something that a lot of home builders have cobbled together something out of various bits and pieces, so being able to do an actual decent looking toilet is realized there was a demand for, but if you're trying to make a realistic looking house, it kind of makes sense.
I can hear Chili saying in the background, but it's not the marble toilet.
No one wants the marble toilet.
Apparently, Chili wants the marble toilet. And I think there's a few people out there who want it, whether it's a good thing or not, but...
they are no longer allowed to have opinions.
But it is a thing. And Nicknar wants gold! Yes, yes. So
wait, like a golden toilet, or...?
Yes, yes. He loves gold.
No golden toilets. That is uncomfortably close to straight into politics.
All right. So the other big thing that happened this week was patch 5.11 came out. Some of the things that we got out of that, well, the Ultimate Alexander raid that was beaten earlier this morning.
And then for pretty much everyone else, we got Ishgardian Restoration.
Yep. There was a number of new housing furnishings and orchestrion roles added. The new lean back emote and hairstyle, which I believe come from the restoration.
Yep. Hang on.
A number of new mounts and minions.
Yeah.
That come from a number of sources, most of which are the Ishgardian Restoration. And then, of course, Ishgardian Restoration, which they realized they had to fix something on it because as people were going cross-server to join in on other servers' concerted works, it was locking out people who were on their homeworld.
And this was another one where Yoshi P did go ahead and make a post on the forums where he was talking about what was going on with that. One thing that I thought was interesting about it was he noted they actually expected that people were going to be hopping from world to world. And this was part of the intended design because you have some worlds that are much more active in terms of their crafting and gathering scenes than others.
Yes.
So they figured that the ones that were more active could lend a hand to the others so that there wouldn't be too much of a gap between them.
But that's something that should have been implemented after they saw what the demand was.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I mean, it's the same reasoning behind the fact that they have multiple instances of zones when a new expansion comes out.
I feel like it's not unreasonable to have tried it and see it. There wasn't a lot of harm done in this case.
No, I mean, the issue is, like I said, there are people who were trying to get in on their home world to do a concerted works, but they couldn't because the zone was completely full.
Right. I get that sucks and all. I'm just saying, in this case, it doesn't feel like a lot of harm was done. So it's like, maybe in hindsight, we could say that such and such would have been better, but I think it's reasonable that they didn't know, and I think it's reasonable for them to have tried it the way they did. No,
I understand. I guess, but I just think that, knowing the player base the way we do, they're hungry to finish things as fast as possible.
Sure. They know the player base in a different way, wherein they can actually pull out all the stuff of server data and who's utilizing what and the like. So they may get a different picture on some things than we do.
Well, I think the fact that completing the concerted works gives you a level of experience and 500 of the
Script.
Scripts, yeah. I mean,
It's always script.
yeah. I mean, I think that the script portion of it was a little bit rich. And I mean, it allowed people to actually get enough of the currency to get the mount and a number of things already.
Yeah, I mean, you can see me. I'm leaning back.
And that was, what, 3,000-ish?
1,800.
Okay. Whereas the mount was 8,400.
Now, that said, given that, as far as I could tell, there would be in total 6 concerted works, because there's 2 shifts for each of the stages, about 3,000 script. The rest of that comes from people very obsessively craft.
Or very obsessively going to other servers before they blocked it.
Maybe, but I saw a lot of people crafting pretty hardcore.
And of course, we have to have a Nicknar behind us.
That move window, yo. Peck window? I don't know.
All right.
Anyways, I get that it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but at the same time, it feels like something where there was not as much harm done. I'm willing to give them a pass on this one.
Yeah, the more harm was done by Nicknar running into the screen here.
I don't know. I feel like he's pulling off that look pretty well.
So, being we didn't get a chance to really talk about it much on the last show, what are your thoughts on the new changes to crafting?
Oh, so yeah, it's better that you asked about it now, because the last couple of weeks I've actually been messing around with it. At the moment, I feel fairly comfortable with it. It feels like some stuff is actually a little bit less random swingy. They did take out the stuff that makes it. Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of stuff that like the things where you absolutely had to begin with a certain type of thing, where you were doing having to keep track of and manipulate your CP a lot throughout it. A lot of the more random chance-driven ones, where you would also have the ability to reclaim. So it would be something where you're taking a chance on various breaking it and reclaiming the materials if it didn't work, stuff like that. They seem to be moved away from a lot of that. The structure of the current one feels a bit easier to work with. It's a lot less complex and more accessible. And that was also something actually in Yoshi P's comments about the Ishgardian Restoration. He mentioned that the crafting changes were done in concert with that to try to get more people into it. So it seems like they're going for something that's a little simpler, something where you don't necessarily need to have a macro for everything, and you don't bother crafting until you know what the current set of macros are, which was something that had annoyed me a little bit about the previous rounds of crafting.
Fair enough. I was just distracted by the dancing bunny lion trying out for Cadbury commercials behind us.
Oh my god, you think that's distracting? Goddamn straight boys. So sensitive.
No,
big heavy guy in drag is prancing around.
We were just having fun with it in chat, that's all.
Yeah, I'm still gonna mock you.
Of course. I'm starting to get used to it again. I spent a good amount of time creating macros to change over all of my hotbars because I was too lazy to do it one by one. Plus, it made them all the same because all of the skills are the same. So why not?
That is something where I know under the previous ones, there were, partly because of the cross-class actions and the fact that some were way more critical than others, you would have, there was a marked difference in how easy it was to do stuff for some classes versus others.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's nice that it puts everybody on a level playing field as far as what skills they have available to them. And with that being said, there's a few of the skills that you learn from 70 to 80 that I'm really enjoying, especially that level 80 skill. Oh my god.
I mean, the level 80 skill is just a big time saver all around. I was using it for Ishgardian Restoration since it lets you instantly cap out the level 70 craft.
Yeah, I've been using it on my custom deliveries, so I can, for the previous tier one, so I can just cap them out in one shot and then turn them in on lower level jobs.
Yep. We've seen this with other stuff, like battle content, where as the game progresses and as you get to higher level, there's some amount of, okay, we're going to let you skip through some of the earlier stuff that's now a little bit easier, and there's no sense in making you struggle through that much when like the rewards are not as good or the other things are outdated.
Yeah.
And so this seems to be just applying that same kind of ethos to this other type of content as well.
No, on the converse, have you done much gathering because of the restoration? I'm assuming you've done a fair amount.
I did a bit. So gathering is a bit different in that, at least for Ishgardian Restoration, none of the items that are being requested are gathering collectible. So the only thing you're really gathering for is to get those specialized Sky Builder ingredients. Mm-hmm. Now that said, I certainly went and got a batch of them in order to make up some things, but it's not needed in the same way at all.
I will say, though, that the quick gathering is really nice.
Oh my God. Quick gathering, I love so much.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, just like quick gathering. Yes, that is a thing of beauty. Long may we praise whoever made that happen. Especially with pick clean. For lower level materials where I often don't necessarily care about the high quality of it because it's not going to contribute meaningfully to the finished product. When pick clean, quick gather, and I can have 10 or 12 from a single node, and you can do it multiple times in a row. It's so much nicer.
I haven't messed with pick clean yet, though. I mean, I probably should use it with the restoration materials since they're only NQ.
Yeah, that is a good point. The restoration materials are only NQ. It's not. It does seem like something where they're saying, "Hey, we don't want you to try to cheese." Spending a lot for high quality ingredients, so like you are going to have to demonstrate some amount of crafting skill.
Yeah.
That said, there's lots of low level recipes, so even if you're struggling with those higher level ones, you can still make and contribute something.
Yep. I found the level 60 is a really nice spot if you're looking to level up your crafters. You still get a decent. You don't get a ton of XP for making the item, but you get a good amount for turning it in.
Yeah, the turn-ins are definitely.
But you do get a good amount of experience if you're crafting the level 70 stuff. I was seeing in the neighborhood of 100 to 200,000 XP.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was doing it on high level crafts because I was mostly going for the scripts.
Gotcha.
So I'm not quite sure.
No, I was mainly doing it for the leveling. So, but like I said,
it is content where there's a lot of different things to get out of it right now.
Yep. And the fact that you can actually do this as a level 30 crafter and gatherer is really nice.
Mm-hmm. I think there's some crafts that go even lower, aren't there?
20 maybe?
Check my log.
20 to 30, somewhere in there.
Hang on. Ishgard Restoration. The lowest level one is a level 20 recipe.
So if you want to just get into crafting, this is a great way to not only, level up fast, but learn the new rotations, as well as get scripts to get some cool items, and it's a win-win realistically.
Also, quite frankly, not quite frankly, but also just as a bonus, a lot of the item descriptions, both for finished items and for the ingredients for them, are just really funny.
Yeah,
I feel like I should just provide a selection here.
All right, I'll wait.
Let's see.
But not too long.
Okay, actually, let's go with the item descriptions. So we have, all of them, of course, have Sky Builder in the name, so it's fairly easy to search for them. So we have Sky Builder's iron ore. While this may look much like any other iron ore found in Middle Lenosha, there are subtle differences that only an expert in the field will recognize. The name for one is considerably longer.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sky Builders. Let's see. Sky Builders Iron Sand. The tradition of measuring powdered substances in units of pinches has been the cause of many arguments, largely due to differences in finger size between the various races. Folk in eastern Thanalan, where this sample was gathered, have been known to ask Lalafels to measure when selling and Rogadin when buying, for obvious reasons. Skybuilder's Ashlog. Ash. Ah, savior of the firmament.
That one was funny. That one was funny. But you did it wrong.
Yeah, I
You
wasn't
have to
going
go,
to try to.
Ash! Ah! There you
It's
go.
true. Skybuilder's Dawn Lizard. One day, this poor lizard is chasing other, smaller, scurrying creatures across the desert plains of. And the next, it is being transported to another world and dragged lashing and kicking to Ishgard. The chances of the cold-blooded scalekin being content in its frozen new surroundings are slim at best, and you can only hope that the Skybuilders are grateful to you for supplying a miserable and motionless lizard. Several of the item descriptions do point out that it's a little bit weird that you are dragging in materials from other worlds for this project.
Lovely.
Oh yes, Skybuilders Wheat. Were the other contributors to hear that you traveled to Orang in the first simply to procure wheat, they would think you're just trying to show off. I'm not sure they'd be wrong either.
Oh,
Like,
is this for
who
the
needs to go to another dimension just to bring in some wheat?
another dimension, another dimension, another dimension?
So
All right.
yes, they had a bit of their characteristic humor, which I do.
You're really cutting in and out quite a bit lately.
I am right up to my microphone.
So I don't think it's that.
I
I think you're having issues with. I don't know if it's going through Discord properly or not.
Weird.
It is weird. Well, we'll see if we can't get through this. So let's go ahead and jump right into our discussion topic then. This week we are going to be going through the patch 5.1 storyline. So if you have not yet finished 5.1, this is your spoiler warning. By this I mean spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Good enough?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. I love that effect on this thing. All right, so patch 5.1 starts with us back in Mordona at the Rising Stones. I was gonna say the Waking Sands, but that's in that's the old one.
Yeah. And the falling snows never happened. Rip Harsafont.
Hashtag
Whatever.
too soon.
It will always be too soon.
Apparently Nick Nar needs more pigs in space.
Oh dear.
Hey, I gotta give them what they want, all right? You cut out there, but I'm assuming you said, do you? And I'm gonna say, yes, I do.
See, you don't actually need me here. I am that predictable at this point.
All right, so Tataru updates us on the situation in the source. Apparently the fighting at the Gimlet Dark has given way to a ceasefire of sorts, but otherwise things are pretty quiet on the battlefront with the Garleans.
Which, given what we had been told was going to happen in the original timeline, no news is very much good news this time around.
And apparently we have a helper that wanted to meet us, but hasn't been answering their link pearl. So somebody's doing some work out there still. Tataru then asks us to tell her and Philomen, I'm bad with pronouncing that name.
Philomen.
Okay. About our adventures on the first. So, of course, we have to tell them all about what happened. Stories with the Scions and Reen, or Miniphilia. Before we're interrupted by Riol, who's stepping in for Thancred now. Who's reporting that he has no word from our helper and will be sneaking back to the Imperial border to try and regain contact again. He's also letting us know that Kryl wants to talk to us because there has been a change with the Scions. So we go and talk with Kryl, and she tells us that the results of her latest examination have shown that the link between the bodies and souls is slowly weakening. It's more evident on those that have been that were taken first. So the twins are the least affected, and Thancred would be the most affected at this point.
Yep. She does note that it's subtle, but once she knew to look for it, she could see it all over.
Yeah. While she and Master Matoya, the real Master Matoya and not Ishtola, will do their best to maintain their stability with this new bit of news, time is running out, and we have to work faster to find a solution. So with that bit of information, we go back to the first, and we talk with the Crystal Exarch and the Scions to let them know what was found. And after a bunch of discussion and maybe a little bit of argument, we come across a possible solution. What?
Yoshtola's snark in that scene was beautiful.
Ishtola's always got a lot of snark.
It's true.
We came across the solution. That would be something that we have seen and used in the past, white auracite.
Man, that stuff is just like crystallized plot. It captures Asians. It stores the souls of our buddies. It brightens your floors and makes a delicious dessert topping.
Let's just call it the MacGuffin.
Sure, we'll go with that.
All right. So with the white MacGuffin, which they theorize can be used to carry their souls across from the first back to the source. As one of our possessions, because being we are the only one that crosses back and forth with not only our body but everything that is attached to us, including our items in our bags.
Yes, the way they describe it, the idea of this like of treating the others as our possessions. Okay, I see what you're saying from a theoretical level, but also that just sounds kind of awkward.
I own you, Ishtola. Just kidding.
I feel like she would be the worst one to say that to.
Why do you think I said it?
Because you apparently are tired of living.
Anyway. So basically, in order to do that, we would have to find somebody who has the knowledge of being able to transfer and preserve the soul of somebody. Nobody in the party is currently familiar enough with that, but...
This is very advanced soulcraft work. This is not something that we can do with our current level, and it's explicitly, we are going to need an expert in this because this is otherwise something very potentially dangerous.
I wonder if Moonbrita could have done it.
Soon.
But the Crystal Exarch knows somebody who may be able to help us. You want to take the next one?
Sure.
We'll go back and forth.
Now, Urianger is going to remain behind in order to fashion the white auracite, and we join the Exarch, the twins, and Ishtola in Lakeland, where a boat waits to bear us to the Great Lake's southern banks. There, in a palatial mansion called the Grand Cosmos, was once a court magician in the kingdom of Verbert, and who remains the greatest known expert in soulcraft, maintains his solitary life, or their solitary life. Right, Numu are gender neutral.
The word missed was Numo, because you kind of cut out right there.
I am really getting annoyed at I wonder what's going on with that.
If you want to try restarting Discord real quick, I can wait.
I'll do after this, since this section's fairly short.
Now I was gonna ask though, why do you think they call it the Grand Cosmos?
That I'm not sure of. I mean, cosmos is a word that also has a meaning also relating to like order. So I wondered if it has something to do with that, kind of like the grand design, the grand order, or something like that. I'm not really sure where that name came from.
You know, I saw no references of apple pie in there either. Please tell me you get the reference.
I'm actually not seeing it right now.
Cosmos by Carl Sagan.
Oh.
If you want to create the perfect apple pie, first you have to create the universe.
I mean, this is technically true. You could have also said something about billions and billions.
Yes, but I like apple pie.
I mean, who doesn't? People who are wrong. Or have allergies, which is like your body being wrong. Not your mind, just your body.
Yes. All right, sorry. Continue.
Anyways, but so in the reclusive nature of this Numu, the Exarch suggests that we draw their interest with a frontal assault, bursting through the main gate and defeating the mage's familiars.
Who does that to try and make friends?
We do, apparently.
Okay.
Like, apparently this is just how you make friends with the Warrior of Darkness. You go and you fight some stuff, and it's like, we're buddies now.
Haha.
And we do exactly what we do best, fight our way through this mansion full of magical traps and beasts. We do face fierce resistance and triumphant before that mage in the deepest chambers of the mansion. Now, the new Mu, one Beklug, is at first resistant to our requests. The Exarch and Alphano eventually win a war of words with them, including more than a few unfair ones like shake, beg, and
I was uncomfortable with that.
Alphanos.
If you were watching me play through this during Extra Life, you saw how the level of uncomfortableness that I was feeling at these terrible things that they were doing to this poor Numo.
It always feels a little bit awkward. Like, this feels like an intelligent, living, breathing creature, and we're pretty much treating them like a dog.
It's like putting a cheat code in when you're playing Doom. You're basically just forcing your hand there.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny.
I mean, I get that we're in a lot of situations where circumstance has kind of forced our hand, but it still feels a little awkward. But Beklug does agree to help, contingent on our aiding in their research, and we return to the Crystal Tower to discuss the situation in greater detail.
I mean, it's only fair that we help them with the work that they're going to do on our behalf.
Yeah. Like, this is a reason, and this is one of the things with the Numu. They always want it to be a fair deal.
Yes. Even though they really want to make sure to please the people they're working with, they do want it to be fair and equitable. Poor Beklug is if you've done the tank role quest, you'll recognize this particular Numo, and you'll understand why they became so reclusive.
Yeah, they have good reason to feel like they should be staying out of these affairs.
But like I said, if you've done it, I think you got another option that you could choose, which allowed them to kind of recognize that you are not just like everybody else.
So I had done the relevant role quests, and you do get another option. But it is something where you're showing that you are aware of what's going on. And then they're like, yeah, so you get why I'm not happy about this.
Yeah.
It's less of a, oh, this helps you negotiate, and more of just a, you show that you have understanding of what's going on with it.
Also, if you chose to use the option that had one of the words of power in it, you're a terrible person.
I believe in this case, talking about how you would not lie down. I always feel a little bad. They're so nice, and they just want to be helpful, and then we do that to them.
Yeah. Getting back into the actual dungeon, though, what were your thoughts on some of the different? We may have talked a little bit about it last time, but I want to get a little more in depth on some of the mechanics that we experienced in that dungeon. Like, namely that last fight. I thought it was really cool where you had to actually burn the furniture in order to survive.
I felt a little bit bad about it. It's like, oh my god, these are probably priceless relics. And we're just, we have to burn each one. I get that this is part of the mechanics, but I feel bad about it.
But he set us on fire.
I mean, I guess they did start it.
We didn't start the fire. Why don't you go ahead and restart Discord?
So I'm in the market for a new host. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and restart Discord while you do the next bit.
All right. So at this point, Beklug suggests we employ the use... Oh, wait, I skipped one. Never mind. He informs us that our Arasite plan, for that to work, the souls of the Scions would need to be made dormant. the discussion of dormant souls reminds Alice of her time back at the in at Journey's Head with those afflicted by the light poisoning from the Sin Eaters. At her request, the twins, the Warrior of Light, and Beklug head to Amareng, and we see what we can maybe do to help them out, which may help with our research.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Although there is always the element of some of what we find may be useful for other stuff, a lot of it is just about the fact that, hey, we're kind of the good guys here. We're the ones who help out. We don't want to leave this world and leave stuff undone. And so if we see an opportunity to patch up these remaining things, we're going to go for it.
And if it can help our research, even better.
Yeah, it's a nice bonus.
We're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So killing birds is bad. Don't kill birds.
Well, unless, like, you really need some rail tenderloin for that.
Tenderloin.
Exactly. Killing birds is sometimes awesome. I forget where I was going with this.
All right. So upon examining a few of those stricken by the light, Beklug tells us of a tonic that they used back in Vobert that would stimulate the ether of one's body. And they surmise that it could maybe have a positive effect on those stricken. So we go around and we try it out on a few of the patients there with limited success. A couple of them do show a little bit of positive changes, but it seems the further along in their transformation they are, the less effect it actually has. And Beklug surmises that it's because they're just too far gone, and the light aether has not only affected their corporeal aether, that of their body, but the incorporeal aether of their soul.
Yeah, this was something where they introduced in this patch the concept of corporeal and incorporeal aether, which may have implications for a bunch of other things explaining previous stuff. But of course, Alice could care less about this kind of metaphysical nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I do find that the concept is very interesting, but I don't know where else we can really pull from that, other than that it's big words to use in the storyline.
It's something that might have implications for later stuff.
Yeah, we'll
leave
see.
it there for now.
I feel that it could definitely poke towards something that we end up having to do. Well, like I said, it's the difference between their body and their mind, I guess, or their soul.
Yep. There have been questions about, like, what exactly is the nature of ether? Does this particular thing, like, is it a body thing? Is it a soul thing? How does this stuff behave? So having there be, once again, kind of a dual-natured thing to it, I think saves a lot of problems or takes care of a lot of questions that people might have had about stuff.
Yep. So Beklug notes that while it might be possible for the soul to repair itself, even if this potion doesn't work, it could take years or decades for the soul to fix itself. Alice is basically begging Beklug to help find a way to treat those who are further gone.
They even have one had a comment about I'm totally blanking on his name.
Yeah, it starts with an H, doesn't it?
Halric.
Yes, that's
about the idea of, like, Halric might wake up someday to find that he's an old man.
Yet his soul is still back in his youthful state.
Right, but his body having aged, if it's something where it takes that long for it to fix, he might regains consciousness to find, oh, hey, he's now an old withered man. Not really the outcome that they're looking for here.
Yeah. All right.
So Beklug does suggest as of a familiar as a conduit for aether revitalizing magic. They note that this treatment would have been pointless while light was still filling the skies, but thanks to our efforts, we do have a chance now. And an impatient Alice, as mentioned, interrupts the metaphysics lesson as saying, hey, I don't really care how about these details. How do we make this happen?
I think that was basically the story writer's way of saying, I don't know how to explain this. Let's make Alice be the excuse for not having to explain it.
I mean, I view it kind of like the whole thing. Remember way back ages ago when Alphino and Hien were going to discuss politics for like 20 hours, and meanwhile it's like, why don't you go and show this guy around or something?
Yeah.
And then a batch of us were like, no, we want to discuss the politics.
I actually would have been extremely interested to find out what they actually meant by that.
The politics or the metaphysics?
The metaphysics, actually.
Oh, a lot of people would be. And at this point, I think it was a little more, yeah, we don't really want to go down this road right now.
But we do.
The writers have enough going on.
I don't care. Just kidding. Anyway.
Yeah. But so, we find that the crafting of the familiar will require the purest of waters, the finest of clays, and a fey lantern brimming with pixie magic. Alice recommends that she and Alphino go to Ilmeg to play with the pixies again, and we head to Twine to get the clay. In Amarang, the miners helpfully direct us to Mount Biran to get the clay. Jarek is a little less than helpful at this point. After the events earlier in Calusia, he is dreaming about giant trolleys being pushed by giant talus. And one day, we'll build a talus with a trolley so big it will destroy them all! Wait, what?
I just thought that it was so funny that he is just so, enamored by trolleys.
Is trolley a sexuality? Because I feel like trolley could be a sexuality with him.
It's the first, so sure.
All right, the first, home of trolley sexuals.
Sure. We've just created a thing now, haven't we?
I mean, the internet would have done it at some point if we didn't.
We are the internet. Dun dun dun.
Doom
Train confirmed.
We find out that we're the monsters.
You're not wrong. Anyway.
Anyways, but so they also mentioned having recently been visited by Chai Nuz, who seems to be looking for all sorts of information and ideas in relation to a lot of the stonework stuff that he did. Back at the inn, Alice asks Beklug to let her create the clay familiar. And the New Moon notes that Alice's personal knowledge of the afflicted and her strong desire to help them will make that magic more potent before agreeing to her request. Alice makes a valiant attempt to sculpt a clay shell for the familiar.
I thought it was adorable.
I mean, it was cute.
In a cringy kind of way.
Alphino clearly got all of the artist genes in the family. Much to Ishtola's regret, I'm sure.
But Alice got all of the sassy.
I mean, Alphino is sassy from time to time. But yeah, there's definitely an uneven distribution there.
Yeah.
But Beklug assures her that it is not the physical shape, but the beliefs of the most. And the young woman murmurs Halric and Teslin's names as she prepares to invoke the familiar. Alice repeats the incantation that Beklug teaches her, and her clay creation springs forth to become a pudgy little porksy that she names Angelo.
Go, Angelo!
Yeah, you can actually talk to Alice post-quest, and she will mention that the name comes from a dog that she had when she was a kid. Alphino apparently after some academic thing or another, but her choice ended up prevailing. So yes, I mean, really, it's going to be hey, they're going to get in all the Final Fantasy VIII things, but it was a cute way to insert that reference. I approve.
Yes.
But so Angelo shines a light on Halric, and after a few hesitating moments, he is able to speak for the first time, calling out, "Mother." It is a small step, but a promising one, as Beklug does note a bit of color returning to the boy's soul. And Alice, meanwhile, is lost in thought about whether something similar could be put to use to help Gabu back on the source. I know a lot of people in various lore forums were very excited about the possibility of something that might be able to undo tempering, which we've long thought as, hey, once it's there, this is irreversible.
I'm wondering about that. I mean, because if you think about it, the action of light is to actually stagnate, which is what's happening here. But other elements aren't going to be acting in the same fashion. So they're not actually stagnating the soul.
Right. I think it's less about that specific thing and more just like the general idea of
Manipulating that type of aether instead?
Yeah. Like kind of a here's this way that you have this ether that was the ether of this person's soul that is over suffused with this thing and being able to like kind of bring it back into a more balanced state.
So if light is stagnating, what would dark aether actually do? Would it overproduce?
So this is something that again we don't necessarily have a good this is another thing that we've had a lot of discussions about with no clear answers at this point. I'm leaning towards, okay, we've got stasis, so it's kind of this opposite to it, for which I'd been using the term dynamis, in part because static dynamic, so stasis dynamis, and in part just because of the, hey, why not traumatize some people while I'm talking about it?
Dynamis, Ishgard confirmed.
You will never escape dynamis. Never.
That's what we're actually getting in the new diadem. They're renaming it from diadem to dynamis.
Oh boy.
Come on, you know you love the idea.
Yeah. No, I find it deeply amusing, though it's mostly that bit of me that's like, yes, everyone needs to suffer as I suffer. I should not indulge that bit of me too often.
No, realistically, I apologize for kind of sidetracking us there, but I do want to know what the different suffused aethers will actually do to a living's body.
You and a lot of other people.
So I'm hoping that we get a little bit of information on that so we can maybe use that to figure out what the nature of aether in this world actually is. And see if it actually, integrates into real life stuff. That could be kind of weird, huh?
Like, I get why you would want to know that. At the same time, that requires the writers to commit to a lot of stuff, to define a bunch of things that could then tie their hands later. So I'm not sure, just from a storytelling perspective, how much I would expect to get. But it's certainly something that we wonder about.
Yeah, it would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. No argument here.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. But so, with that little bit of light of hope, we're ready to head back to the crystal progress on this front, but we're interrupted by Kai Shear showing up, the mistel who we helped get into Yulemore way back when. He's there to let us know that Lady Chai is in dire need of our help back in Yulemore.
Dire need.
I mean, it's Lady Chai. We would have gone no matter what. We love her. She is precious to us.
Speak for yourself.
She's delightful!
She grows on you, but...
You just know that, like, she'll invite you to tea, and it'll be the best one, and she'll try to make good conversation and be so worried about if you're having a nice time, because she just wants it to be nice for you.
As long as she doesn't try to give me a hug.
You just know her hugs are the best hugs.
I don't want to spend that long in the infirmary. You'll know why.
Anyway.
All right. So anyway, we leave Alisei back in Amareng, and we arrive at Yulemore to find a deeply distressed Dulia Chai. She tells us that Chai News, her little Chai, has gone missing, and she is beside herself, as always. One little thing goes wrong, and it's the end of the world as we know it.
She feels
but I
her
feel
feelings
fine.
hard. Can you fault her for that?
No, she does. She does. She's like either 100% on or 100% off. Anyway, in the absence of former leadership, it turns out, people of Yulemore conducted an election of sorts. And
Of sorts.
Nobody actually volunteered but because of his notoriety, in a positive way, Chai New's name was thrown out there, and his name was written down more than anybody else's. So they want him to lead the people of Yulmore going forward.
Man, can you be forced to be mayor? That's like a very worrisome political prospect.
No, well, he's not against the idea, but he starts, asking people questions, talking with people, and he disappears.
At this point, no, we just know that he was. Then he's vanished, and it kind of feels like maybe the pressure got to be too much for him. He's our favorite nervous cat dad.
Yeah, it's true. I was just gonna kind of mix these two together since they were
go for it.
very short. So
he is best cat dad, just like she is best cat mom.
So we're gonna try and retrace his steps to find out what happened, where he went, and we talk with the Boutique of Splendors vendor. We talk with the captain of the Yulmoran army, and we also talk with a few people down in the derelicts. And we're starting to really put together a picture of what happened and what Master Chai was thinking as he was kind of making his way through Yulmore. And the reports we receive are kind of at odds with the idea that Master Chai might have panicked and run away, versus maybe he wants to just find out more about what's actually happening within Yulmore and maybe in Kalusia in general.
Yeah, he's taking it seriously, it seems like.
So he's weighing his options at this point and maybe trying to put together a good picture here. But none of the answers that we've received from anybody we've talked to have actually given us an answer to where he went.
All right. So as we're putting together this broader picture of Master Chai's movements and what's been going on, Alphino concludes that his concern is not just about Yulmore, but at this point, all of the settlements and people of Kalusia. And so he suggests that we split up to search the island. Kaishir checking Gate Town, Alphino searching Stilltide, and we are left with Right.
Right.
At Right, we talk.
Right.
We talked with the people there and learned that there was indeed a well-dressed Mistel who wanted to discuss relations between Right and Yulmore. Kaishir reports similar story from Gate Town, and we conclude that his next stop would be Amity, that small settlement near the top rung in the upper parts of Kalusia. We do indeed find Chai Nuz there. Confused, he mentions that he had actually left a note for Julia in their chambers before coming to the conclusion that she must have just overlooked it.
And
she's
that
still best.
He has to apologize profusely when he returns.
Yeah. You do not make her upset. Not because she'll hurt you, but because she'll be so sad, and you cannot stand to have that on your conscience. Anyways, if you cannot tell, I just adore her. She's delightful. But so to the matter at hand, while China has been trying to learn more about the problems facing the citizens of Kalusia, he still sees himself as more of an entrepreneur than a politician, and he's reluctant to take up the mantle of office. At this point, he is seeking the help of Renden, the former chief advisor to Vothri's father. We are overheard by Tristol, the artist that we met outside of Yulmore, and after putting aside his differences with China's, Tristol tells us that we can find Renden by Pit 8, just outside of Amity. At Pit 8, Renden listens as China's explains his findings and proposes a grand plan to begin the restoration of Yulmore. In order to address the most pressing issue, that of the dwindling food stores, Yulmore is going to use its accumulated wealth to purchase supplies as a temporary measure. They're also going to work on improving relations with the other Kalusian settlements with a long-term goal of reestablishing agricultural production. China's also notes that this plan started as an abstract idea, but it took concrete form as he spoke with the residents of Kalusia.
Isn't it kind of crazy how all of that kind of formed together with all of his exploration?
Yeah, I mean, It kind of makes sense. He getting out there and actually seeing what problems are facing the area gave him a little bit more idea of what needs to be done.
And the fact that they included this in a game like this is, I think, the most amazing part, and that it was a well thought out and well concocted plan.
Mm-hmm.
Not just A plus B equals C simple plan, but I mean something that actually has a lot of real world merit.
Yeah, this has always been a big strength of a lot of the stuff they do. The idea that this feels like a living, breathing world. That it's not just oh, hey, we've defeated the bad guy and now everything's done. That now there's what comes after.
Mm-hmm.
The nation building is the hardest part.
But it's, I think, some of the most interesting stuff to actually see how the world runs.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the fact that it's hard is what makes it interesting.
Yes.
It's not something where you can just go in, swing around a sword or axe or staff a few times, and everything's done. It's like, now the real work starts. But Rendon is impressed by this plan, but he notes that a plan by itself is not going to be enough. You need to provide the means to make that plan happen. China's fashion, the Mistel proposes the use of Talos to help build and maintain settlements.
Of course.
I mean, it's what he spent most of his life doing. It's the thing he knows really well. I can't fault him that much.
No, you can't, but it's just still, it is true China's fashion.
When you have a Talos, every problem looks like a
something.
Anyway.
So rather than build Talos from scratch, which would be a costly and extremely time-consuming endeavor, he suggests that we use his knowledge and capture the wild ones, the abandoned units that are wandering the upper parts of Kalusia. And of course, because it fits in with the storyline, he presents a crate of canisters filled with an insulating powder that can instantly stop the flow of aether in a Talos. Because reasons.
I mean, it's not unreasonable to think that they would have some type of measure for being able to shut down a rampaging Talos.
I know, just the fact that he has it right on him right now.
Just like his bat carousel reversal spray.
Yes.
That is like one of my favorite Simpsons references.
Da, 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 da. So all that is needed is to get within range and throw, a task that even he can do. And a task he volunteers to do, determined to stand on his own 2 feet for once, rather than leaving everything up to somebody else. Now, I have to say that was one of the most interesting little twists that we've seen. That we are not the ones who have to do everything, that we're actually going to be supporting an NPC.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we saw especially a lot in the earlier storyline, and something that the Dark Knight quests specifically point out, just how many people kind of rely on us to do everything.
Yep.
And seeing people learn to take those first steps to stand on their own, that's the thing that's really rewarding. It's like the greatest thing for a hero is to no longer be needed.
Also giving us a chance to go drink some Mai Tais and
I mean, I did love that
beach.
one in the was it the physical DPS role quest?
Which one?
Oh, the one where it's like, okay, and we're gonna need all these parts for this, so I'm gonna go get them, and you just chill out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they're learning to stand without us. So beautiful.
But I mean, that whole quest arc was about his growth, though. So.
Well, yes.
But we can talk about that in another episode when we talk about all the role quests.
Woo! So, but yes, right now it's time for Metal Gear China's.
Metal Gear.
God, if it's not apparent, I adore Weird Cat Dad. He's kind of the best. That entire, like, both of them, they're so wonderful.
Do you think that those are your parents now?
No, they're kind of, like, So, like, Y'shtola is kind of like Teen Mom, but Dulia Chai is also Teen Mom. Like, Y'shtola is the harsh, snarky mom, and Dulia Chai is the loving, caring mom. Back me up on this, someone.
Crickets.
Oh.
Crickets. Anyway.
Oh.
Anyway.
Is it my turn?
I think we're still, yeah, because you're still in the middle of this quest, finding good help.
Oh, I thought you were reading that one.
No, oh, it was me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then I started commenting as I do.
And then I lost it. Never mind, that's normal for me too, because it's been one of those weeks.
Woo!
All right, so with encouragement and a little bit of guidance from us, Chai News incapacitates 3 Talos. And with a few modifications, the now obedient automatons follow him as he returns triumphantly to Yulmore. And we arrive in Gate Town, Talos marching behind to a shocked and amazed crowd, including one Dulia Chai, so overcome with emotion at the return of her husband that she expresses her relief and joy in a powerful embrace.
Aww.
A
Love.
powerful, like life-chokingly powerful embrace.
See, all of she was like, no, Dulia Chai's not fat. That is pure muscle.
I think she would give Godbird a run for the money.
She loves him so much. It's so beautiful.
Or maybe Julian. So
like,
who?
but like a different type, because like she wouldn't be the like angry, seething, destroy you with a pan type.
Okay, she's the anti-Julian. She kills with love.
Exactly. Good old-fashioned, highly weaponized love. Wait, what?
So is that how we're going to beat the Garleans? With the power of love?
As expressed in big old bone-crushing hugs.
Dun,
But
dun,
first, we're going to need to figure out how to get Dulia Chai to the source.
Well, we are
Come
working
on,
on that for
you
us.
know it'd
So.
be hilarious.
Oh, I'm not denying it, but.
But so, oh, yeah, a little bit more on here.
So after Chai News regains his consciousness, Rendon expresses his admiration for the great strides that this fledgling mayor has made, and pledges his support to Master Chai with his knowledge of politics, so that way the businessman can concentrate on, or is able to then help use his strengths to better Yulmore.
Yeah, like he was clear repeatedly that entrepreneurship and the like is much more his speed. The politicking stuff is something he's just not as knowledgeable or comfortable with. So a large part of it is just trying to find those people who are going to be able to do the good things.
But I think with the situation that Yulmore is currently in, having somebody with a bit of business acumen is actually going to be their best bet.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot of rebuilding to do. So, at Rendon's behest, Chai Nuz prepares for his inaugural address as mayor of Yulmore, and bonded and free citizens alike are invited to Lord Vothri's former chambers to hear his speech. Chai Nuz begins by noting the strangeness of the gathering, filled not only with free citizens, also with the former bonded, as well as residents of the derelicts in Gate Town, groups that would never have been allowed under Vothri's rule.
One thing, I have to interrupt here.
Sure.
Is anybody else extremely distressed at the fact that they didn't even clean up the room?
In what way?
There were bottles and plates and everything strewn all over the place.
Yeah. Off as a, hey, they didn't want to redo the entire set for it, but that's a fair thing. And I think China's even mentions that hey, they're not going to be ruling from here. They're just going to have their stuff go from the parlor, same as before.
Maybe nobody had been up there since,
maybe,
possibly, but it just seems odd. If you're gonna have a big speech up there, send somebody to tidy up a little bit, just a little. What would you call them? Uncultured fucks?
No, they've got a lot going on. Like, I'm willing to forgive them. They've got a bit going on here. What's your excuse? Are you rebuilding an entire city-state and its industry?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, carry on. Let no one say that I am not reasonable, or I'll have them executed. Wait,
With
what?
hugs. Sorry.
Prepare the hug chamber. See, we can make it sound sinister.
Okay. Sure.
Anyways, he declares that the old systems must be undone, and that whatever Yulmore will become, that answer cannot be decided by a single person. He proposes holding an open forum to discuss the future of Yulmore, and that he will serve as an interim mayor only until the state, according to determined by its people. He further pledges to do everything in his power to maintain the safety and stability of the city, while all of its people work together to solve the issues that Yulmore faces: agriculture, industry, and relations with its neighbors. Like, it was a nice speech. It was kind of like a very solid workhorse of a speech, I felt.
Mm-hmm. Because
it fits the character.
Yep. Definitely. I mean, especially the awkward start.
Weird Cat Dad is doing his best. And you can tell there's like a little bit of shock at some parts of it. Some of the people, when he announces that he's not planning to be their mayor forever, just for. I think it's clear that like people haven't fully adjusted to the idea that, hey, there's going to be a lot of work involved.
Yeah, but I think as they get moving on this, they're going to determine that it's going to be a lot tougher than they thought, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
The best things always are.
And that, in fact, was one of his themes throughout this. This idea that, like, hey, these old ways can't continue. This new stuff is going to be hard, but we're going to do it together.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It was very inspiring. And so, content that the future of Yulmore is in good hands, Alphino declares himself ready to return to the source and leaves for the Crystal Tower. Meanwhile, Kaishir muses on his place in the new Yulmore, declaring that he wants to be a part of building a brighter future for it.
Hint, hint, hint.
And then we help him become a club promoter.
Have you been doing those quests?
Yeah. We pretty much help him become a club promoter.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cute.
It is. Oh, who would have thought he'd turn out to be such a not trash bag? I mean, anyone who's played this game for a bit, wherein you find out that most people are actually just trying to do their best.
Yes.
This game has a fairly positive view of the world and people. I like it. It's refreshing.
Sure. All right. And then, so now with Yulmore in capable hands, the future looks bright, and even the long-suffering Kaishir has found both a place and purpose. Yet there are still problems that remain to be solved, not the least of those with your fellow scions. So we will go back to Crystarium, hopeful that Beklug has made headway in their research. So we head back to discover that the work on the White Iris site has not gone as intended. In fact, your comrades have decided to pursue an alternative solution, having realized that the original plan would have inevitably broken the link between body and soul.
Between mind and soul.
Body,
yeah, we
mind,
got body, mind, and soul now. Ugh.
And while they labor on, Y'shtola suggests that we return to the source and let Kryle and the others know everything that's happened so far. So
yeah, I mean, it's probably nice to let them know at the very least. Yeah, we're working on that whole their bodies are decomposing thing. We're not just totally it. Stuff's happening. It's hard.
So I wonder how much time actually goes between our visits back and forth.
I mean, they did it. It is explicitly a thing where like time flows weirdly. So they have enough wiggle room for whatever they want to do with it.
It's very wibbly wobbly. Timey-wimey.
Jeremy Baramy. Have you not been watching The Good Place?
No.
Time. Anyways.
So, back at the Rising Stones, Tataru greets our return with her customary enthusiasm. Though she wants to hear all about it, she waits for Kryle to join us, who's continuing to complete her daily menstruations of the Scions' bodies.
See, I wonder. Oh yes, for take care. It's like, what exactly is she doing? Their bodies are doing. Like, is she changing their bedpans? I rather hope that someone is.
Making sure they don't get sores and.
Exactly, you got to turn them over from time to time. They always gloss over these things, but it's kind of one of those like messy realities of people having bodies.
And no sooner have we completed telling our tale than we are joined, considerably surprised, by the elusive Estinian, Chili's favorite, who brings troubling tidings from the Empire. Now, Estinian's account of his journey is interrupted when both us and Kryle are overcome by the power of the Echo. And now in a series of visions of the Dragoon's recent past, we see the murder of Emperor Varys, a grueling battle with Xenos himself, and an encounter with a mechanical monstrosity bearing a striking resemblance to the ultimate weapon. Now,
side note, that entire thing was really badass, and I wish my limit breaks looked half that good.
Right? If Dragoon were half that fun, you wouldn't be floor tanking.
I would have changed any of Chili's opinion about Estinian. Probably not, but one wonders.
I think I asked him about it, and he said he thought it was fun, but it's still Estinian. I think he pretended
Harsh.
It wasn't Estinian.
So harsh.
But that fight, while it seemed really difficult, if you read the tooltips on the actions that were given, it's actually not so bad.
Yeah, as a general rule, take a look over the tooltips when you do a role-playing sequence. They'll usually have a moment at the beginning before you engage with enemies where you have time to look it over. And if you, there was one that's like, hey, this is your basic attack. Also, it drains hit points.
Yes, that was nice. Basically telling us you can't die.
I was also amused by the fact that I was talking about loading in various programs. And so, for instance, then it's program 14, and then it's the iconic FF14 Ultimate Weapon, and then program 12, and it's the one that's kind of the FF12 area. So it's like, okay, they're totally lampshading this at this point.
A little bit, but it was still a fun fight.
Oh, it was great. I'm not going to argue with that.
One of my favorite. It was one of my favorite role play scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Giggity.
Yeah, when I saw the description, it's like, oh, hey, that thing's a limit break. Okay, we're going to be using a limit break at some point.
It was amazing, too.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw that, it's like, okay, we're going to be using a limit break, and that's okay. I regret being so dismissive. That was awesome.
So, when we eventually return to our senses, Estinian presses on with the reports, concluding at length that the Empire poses no threat for the present, though it remains to be seen where Xenos will resurface next. His contract with Tataru thus fulfilled, our old friend gruffly takes his leave, to the disappointment of all present except for Chili. Because Chili, yeah. Why Chili?
So harsh.
I think he went to go see his friend Amaric because, they wanted to go bang.
That's not one of my shifts, but I'll allow it.
I'm sure it's canon somewhere.
I don't think you understand how canon works.
It's somebody's headcanon. Anyway. Everyone else has resumed their work, leaving us the rare opportunity to enjoy a moment's respite. But can there ever truly be rest for the righteous? The presence of Xenos alone is proof that powerful forces are yet at play, waiting unseen to pounce on any weakness. Until they see fit to reveal themselves, however, you can do naught but steel yourself for what is to come. Dun dun dun.
And of course, we did have a couple meanwhile sequences, as usual.
I'm trying to remember what they all were.
So there's the one where we see the freshly erupted Garlean War of Succession. It did not take long. Though I suppose with Varys out of the picture and Xenos completely uncaring to step back in.
Yeah, true.
And so we see the first clashing against the third, with Xenos watching overhead and being approached by some type of mysterious figure, offering him a chance to hunt the greatest prey, referred to in this case as Zodiac.
Well, you also have to remember that this mysterious figure is also robed in white.
Right, but not quite looking the same as Elidibus usually does.
Yeah, well,
it's unclear if this is possibly a new player, if maybe their goal is to have them destroy Zodiac, or perhaps to bring back Zodiac for the purpose of fighting him, which will then have brought back Zodiac.
Because Zodiac.
It's unclear who or what they're allied with. We also do have that scene in the first with the warrior that looks rather a lot like Ardbear. Is this ringing any bells?
Slightly.
Yeah, it seems, I think Elidibus mentioned something about trying to have us mired in the first. So perhaps the goal is now just to get us bogged down in goings on in the first and unable to return home. Once again, it's one of those situations where we've got a lot of cryptic stuff going on and more questions than answers, which apparently is the way we like it, so I can't argue that much.
You gonna kill me yet?
Probably not.
Oh. You missed that reference then. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, I got it.
And then there was also that little quest at the very, very end with filet mignon. Filament.
Philomen. Yes, it's fairly easy to miss, but Tataru, if you talk to, after all the scenes I've played, if you talk to Tataru, she mentions that Philomen had wanted to talk to you about something or another and that she's waiting for you. And that opens up an extra little side quest that it's kind of a bittersweet little coda to the a lot of the stuff with Minfilia, kind of closing out that story, but like bittersweet in a good way.
Yeah, I'm not crying. You're crying.
Oh, I was crying. Wait, we're supposed to not acknowledge that.
Well, I wasn't crying, but I felt the pangs. So, I mean, it was well written.
Yeah.
They did a good job. 5.1, good
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our retelling of the story.
Yeah, it definitely was one that was a little more focused on the scene setting. A lot of it was setting up stuff for the future, but you need to have some of those table setting patches every so often.
Now, initially, I was a little bit upset by the way they distracted us to go over to Yulemore. But once we actually got into that quest, it made a little more sense. And it was kind of nice to help to rebuild the political structure of the city-state.
Yeah.
Plus, Seyrr likes his mommy and daddy.
I mean, okay, in 5.0, we had Weird Cat Dad Dating Simulator. Then, in 5.1, we have Weird Cat Dad Metal Gear Solid. I don't know what's coming next, but I look forward to it.
5.2 is going to have Weird Cat Dad fishing game.
Oh my gosh, am I going to get to go fishing with Weird Cat Dad?
5.3 is going to bring us Weird Cat Dad cooking simulator.
Oh my god! Okay, I need someone to knock me out until 5.3. You do not know how hard I would play that. Okay, maybe you do.
And then we're going to 5.4 is going to bring us Weird Cat Dad story time.
I mean, if this means we get more picture books at the Cabinet of Curiosity, I guess I'm down for it.
Could you call Weird Cat Dad a Necromancer?
Oh my god, I hate you, Kane. Why did you have to bring that up? I am going to set you on fire. Oh my god.
Oh,
No,
Kane, I love
no,
you.
You are forbidden from talking.
Oh, we love you, Kane.
Why do you do this to me? Is it because of my hilarious reactions?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, that checks out.
Yes. All right. And yes, we were thinking about something we could potentially discuss as a lore segment for tonight, but we figured, you know what? We don't always have to have a lore segment. We don't always have to have a 2-hour long episode, so.
That said, there was one thing I wanted to mention just because it came up in some discussions and I thought it was interesting.
Okay.
Sure. So, there actually was a bit of discussion about one of the lines in the MSQ. Let me go ahead and pull up the thing. So, early on, when we're discussing what's to be done about the problem, Grahatia does his usual. The heck? Sorry.
His weird
Okay,
the
wait.
heck? Wow.
uh, but is discussing his usual, oh hey, I'm willing to sacrifice myself, like I'm willing to kill myself in order to do all this. And Alice is calling him out as that with the so let's see. I've got the line here because this was something that
Oh yeah, that bit we were talking
yeah.
about.
This was something that actually came up for some discussion with the lore mongers because a lot of people were upset about that that this scene from the Japanese script. So let me first go ahead and actually get the text of it here. So here we are. Grahatia, I would not soon throw my life away, not after the length you and yours went to save it. And as long as I breathe, I will spare no effort to see you safely home. But should all else fail and your lives be at stake, there remains one sure method. At this point, Alice walks forward and flicks Graha in the forehead. Oh, what was that for? How can you even entertain such thoughts? You owe your life to the Warrior of Light, and you don't get to die unless they say so. Y'shtola smirks. Your followers await your divine judgment. Everyone freezes and looks at her, shocked and embarrassed. Laughing, if the two of you are finished, perhaps we could return to our discussion? Now, I absolutely love that line. This was one where in the Japanese text, she says something more along the lines of like, "Oh, it must be hard to be so loved." She's making a joke about the idea that they are both in love with you and devoted to you. And so there were a lot of people who were complaining about, oh, hey, the North American localization team went and changed the script, they changed the character, all sorts of stuff about that, which is honestly a little bit annoying because we've been having this for like nearly where there isn't an original Japanese script and then everyone else translating from that. The script is, for all the languages, is developed in collaboration between the different teams, and there's not a single master script for it.
It's localized for each area so they understand the references, the tiny little jokes, things like that.
And it's something where it's not just that it's localized, because localization often suggests that there's an original one that came from, but they're developing it together. There's a lot of stuff with in early 1.0 with leave descriptions where the Japanese one was a very straightforward stated one. The English ones, they started like expanding them out a little bit just because, hey, like this is what we want this to be, something that's actually motivating people to do this quest. And after a bit, the Japanese team was like, hey, wow, your stuff sounds really cool. Can we go ahead and translate that back into ours? And so from there, they've taken a much more collaborative approach. I went ahead and made a post on the official forums that summed up some of the feeling about this, so I just wanted to share.
Okay.
So he comments, I saw this one making the rounds on Twitter, and it kind of irked me, to be honest. Comparisons between the client languages are always presented without the surrounding context, and they don't take into account how those characters have behaved in that client language for the last 9 years. And that's assuming the person complaining has good reading comprehension in the first place, which is, across that nigh decade, let's call it inconsistent. Little bit of snark there, though honestly kind of fair. He then includes the full context of the scene, the lines from it. The entire point of the conversation is to find new ideas for getting everyone home. Garaha backslides into sacrificing himself again, which everyone has already taken off the table. But he cares about and admires the Warrior of Light that much. Alice pounces on it because she, on the other hand, cares about and adores the Warrior of Light so much that she finds their time, effort, and friendship so valuable that for Garaha to think so little of his own life is ungrateful, immoral even. But she's Alice, so her phrasing is clumsy. Ishtola realizes they've gone off the rails. These are outdated, unhelpful, emotionally charged conversation points. She's deliberately cutting to the quick by to interrupt it, highlighting that they're putting the Warrior Light on a pedestal they never asked to stand on. That's what she does. Deadpan humor that goes for the jugular. She spent 9 years in the English client as someone who keeps a steely professional persona that she uses as a crutch even in social situations. She spent her entire adolescence in a cave alone with a cantankerous old mage. Her social skills suck. She doesn't know what to do with that script. We've seen her slowly come out of her shell over these 9 years, and usually it manifests as deadpan jokes that cut deep and reveal just how much she's paying attention, just how well she knows her companions, and just how much she actually cares. In Japanese, it's, well, clearly they're both in love with you. The English client also makes subtle, what if Garaha's admiration is also love? What if Alice's adoration is also love? Nods. But it walks a tightrope with it because the story is whatever you want it to be. Every player has to be able to say, oh, Alice's in love with me, but Garaha's just a sappy friend. Or, Garaha's in love with me, Alice's just an overzealous kid. Or, they've both got crushes, but I'm out. Yeah. And this is something where they've, speaking as Seyrr for a moment, they've explicitly said that, yes, they do want to leave it ambiguous because they do want to leave it open for the player to decide which characters they might be interested want to have that idea of the relationship. They don't want it to be shoehorned into this is the Warrior of Light's canon love interest. So they want to leave the door open for all of those so you can imagine the one that you would like.
So they can create the Final Fantasy XIV dating simulator?
Weird Cat Dating Sim 2.0! Anyways, the scene is about Garaha killing himself for the good of the Warrior of Light versus Alice declaring that he doesn't get to die until the Warrior of Light says so. They're both being naive about a grave matter, and Ishtola is chiding them for it by pointing out that they're treating the Warrior of Light like a god who need only speak one word to arbitrate whether Garaha is to live or to die to their benefit. How is this at all weird or inconsistent? That's the Ishtola we've known all along. It's enough to say, I think the way Japanese has portrayed her all these years resonates with me better, without attacking the localization team using cherry-picked one-liners to prop up your case on the shock of seeing how the butterfly effect has caused context to diverge far enough that one line's intent is manifested through totally different presentation. The intent was the same in every language. Ishtola says something deeply accurate and personal to shock them out of their naivete and get the conversation moving. Since that had come up in the discussion, we were discussing it for a fair bit, mostly the blowback to it. Just a lot of the localization stuff, yes, you are going to get differences between those language versions, but trying to pick those out of context, it's frustrating for us to watch. This is something where, as I said, over the course of most of a decade, we've seen these little divergences where they're still doing it with the same intent to accomplish the same thing within the scene, but they're going to do different ways to use different words to do it. And that doesn't mean that anyone's being a hack with the translation.
You're a hack.
I mean, yes, but we try not to acknowledge that. It's just kind of rude.
But no, that is a good point that you bring up. So, I mean, the little one-liners, they like to throw them in there to give the player base something to kind of be like, whoa, see if they're paying attention, for one.
Yeah. And I mean, like, some of it is just stuff that drives the story forward.
And some of it's just Koji being Koji.
And we love him.
Yes. All right. Anything else on that?
I think that's about it. As I said, a lot of stuff in this patch was a little bit less like super amped up, exciting whatnots, but a lot of it was more, hey, we're setting the stage, hey, we're preparing these things, having Alpha No feel like we had Alpha No feeling like he's able to leave with the work he wants, because the ultimate goal is to bring all of the Scions back home, but they've developed their own attachments to this world in the meantime, and they don't want to leave with having things unfinished. So a lot of this is giving them the opportunity to get those things done. In Alpha No's case, to create this better Yule more. So I think we're going to be seeing a fair bit more of this type of thing, where they're preparing for those bigger, like the larger strokes of the plot, and in the course of that, we're going to have a lot of these like kind of smaller scale things.
All right.
Whew.
So I think that's going to do it for this episode then, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, we'd appreciate if you left a rating or review. It helps other people find the show and helps us to grow within the Final Fantasy podcast community. And if you really dig the show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, and you'll get access to a whole bunch of cool emotes and subscriber badges. Or you can consider joining our Patreon, like our amazing friend Roy Fenrir. And you can find that out at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio. All proceeds go towards growing the show, covering some of the mundane stuff like the hosting costs, but it also allows us to do some fun things like giveaways and things like that. But any support, whether it's emails, likes, tweets, retweets, follows, subs, or donations, they're all greatly appreciated. We love hearing from you guys and interacting with everybody. If you want to catch out all of our backlog of shows, I mean, we've got 107 other ones, plus a couple others too, out at PhoenixDownRadio.com. If you have a question or a suggestion for the show, you can email us podcast@PhoenixDownRadio.com. You can catch us out at Twitter at PHXDNRadio. Or you can see all of our videos out at youtube.com/PhoenixDownRadio. So, Seyrr, do you have any shout outs?
I suppose shout out to Rockwell Montaigne, who was being helpful with providing some merciful stuff again. We still only have half the Cocobolo lumber that we need for our sub upgrade, but we're working on it.
You'll get there.
Shout out to Kane Thorbreaker, who sent a very kind gift. He had a leftover webcam that he went ahead and sent to me. So at some point, I'm going to get that set up. And then I guess I have to actually start paying attention to my appearance, don't I?
Well, because, down the road, maybe we'll start putting out the webcam versions, just to add something else to the show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea. I feel like actually doing webcam stuff would be good, just in terms of like, hey, this means I have to pay attention to my appearance. Hey, this means I need to actually take care of myself. It's probably fun. Stupid people making me better.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
How dare they?
The worst.
Anything else?
And let's see. I feel like there's a bunch of other people I should shout out. I've had lots of people I've been talking with, having fun with it, just generally blowing off steam. But nothing is coming to my mind right now. I will let you know that you can follow me on Twitter at FFXIV SEYRR FF14 Seyrr, where I mostly post random stuff that I cooked with my friends or funny things that I found at the library. Though if you've ever have questions about lore stuff, about minor points of interest, anything else like that, I encourage you to join our Discord and post in the library. I am monitoring it pretty much all the time, and I'm always welcoming the chance to take a break from what I'm doing.
Very cool. I want to throw a shout out to everybody who donated to last week's Extra Life campaign. Few people that didn't give their real names or donated anonymously. Everybody who donated, you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for your support. We are still taking donations through December 31st. So if you want to help us get to our $1,000 goal, you can go check out our Extra Life campaign. Go to extra-life.org and search for Phoenix Down Radio. Shout out to Seyrr for being an amazing co-host. Thank you so much for all your help today, getting the show notes ready. Shout out to Taliz.
Anytime. I'm always happy to do.
All right. I wasn't sure if you were going to say anything for a second.
Oh, I had myself muted, so I didn't make any eating.
Gotcha. Shout out to Talaz. Hope you are enjoying KupoCon. We can't wait to have you on the next episode. Remember, that's going to be in 3 weeks, December 7th. We are taking an extra week off for Thanksgiving. Shout out to everybody watching us live here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDown Radio, as well as out on the podcast. Whatever your favorite podcatcher is. Like I said, we really appreciate you guys joining us for all of that. So, for my co-host, Seyrr Tomono, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and until the next time, take care.
Scorpions of all sorts, not just lava ones.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.